welcome to Gossip Finance. I'm Duncan Sandlin. How's everybody doing? We've been out for a week. Anything fun happen? So, Donald Trump won the election against Kamala Harris, so he's the new president-elect. So we got to deal with all that. We got some emails from you guys. Some people were bummed, wanted to talk about what happened, what's going on. So we'll cover some of that today. I do want to thank a lot of the Trump supporters who commented. You guys were very sensitive. It was very nice. Worried about my feelings and my MAGA tears or my liberal tears and all that stuff. So, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be fine. I'm a middle class Asian white guy who works in finance. I'm gonna be better than fine, actually. It's you guys I'm actually worried about, and we'll cover that too. But the reason I'm gonna be fine, because you guys asked, I'll tell you. Is because Donald Trump has proposed this. And this was proposed by Ted Cruz and some other people. So, the no tax on tips, an answer in search of a question. The no tax on tips. If you haven't heard of this, they're proposing that anything that's a tip, waitress gets a tip, not taxable. Well, he's like, Duncan, how does this affect you? Well, it's actually a trick. It's a scam. And I'll show you here. So, this is just a Brookings article on it. So, in recent weeks, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump have announced proposals to exempt tips from federal taxes. Hers is very different from his, though. So Harris, right here, would exempt tips from income, but not payroll taxes. Okay, so payroll taxes, your FICA, so Social Security, Medicare. So you wouldn't have to pay income tax on that, your federal tax, but you would have to pay Social Security, Medicare tax, which is whatever, 7.25% for employees. If you're self-employed or you're an owner, you're paying your 7.25 plus. You're paying for both of you. I mean, you're paying the whole 15.3%. That's 7.65, something like that. Anyway, so that's what that is. So just real quick. So her proposal would allow workers in the service and hospitality industries with income below $75,000 to claim exemptions up to currently unspecified capped amount. So, the trick to hers is this no tax on tips only applies if you make less than $75,000 in a year. And that's significant because I think it's 77 is the average income. So you're talking about 70% of American workers make below 77,000. That's most workers. So the ones that are getting tips. The only quibble I would have with this is it's not fair because people at McDonald's don't get tips, right? Salespeople at stores don't necessarily get tips, right? But they work on commission. So it kind of gives an advantage to a certain group, which is, what government does. But in this one, I would say we could do a better job than just this. Anyway, so Trump has offered scant details. It appears that his proposal would not limit the tax break by sector or income level. So there's no cap on who could take this. This would match two recently introduced bills, one by Senator Ted Cruz and Representative Byron Donalds, both Republican, and the other by Representatives Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Matt Gaetz of Florida. But it's unclear whether Trump would exempt tips from payroll taxes. The Cruz-Donalds proposals would apply only to income, while Massie-Gaetz would apply to payroll as well. So, why does that affect me and basically the finance industry in general? So if you're a broker or a banker or a financial advisor or you're some sort of advisory service or a portfolio manager or a hedge fund manager, you're making almost all your income in fees. And a lot of these fees are going to be somewhat performance-based. Under these proposals, both these proposals, if you're making those kinds of fees, those qualify as tips. So pretty much all of my income from that enterprise would be tax deductible. I wouldn't have to pay tax on any of that money. And that would go for bankers, hedge fund managers, and whatnot. So that's what it is. It's a huge tax dodge for people in finance, especially wealthier people in finance, which a lot of us tend to be. The other thing about that is this, which is, even though he's exempting it for tax on tips for if you're a waiter or a waitress or something like that, part of what he's also proposed last time he was in office, if you guys don't forget, is he wanted to make it legal for your bosses to keep your tips. So the waitress would get a $10 tip. Her boss could keep the tip for himself or herself But under this, they could also then keep that money that you technically earned, right? Keep it for themselves, and they don't have to pay taxes on it. So that's what his proposal is. So if they push that through, which they're definitely going to try to, and if he has the House and the Senate, they probably will, and you'll see big tax cuts for the rich. And they'll start cutting entitlement programs for everybody else. It's going to be bad. They're going to start cutting the government really bad to cover tax breaks. That's going to be what the situation is. But the upside is thanks for the tax break, Trump supporters. You helped me out. I don't know what you're doing much about you, but